All right, we're really close now to the end of this. So what we've got so far is we're trying to capture the idea that we have one table over here that when we make changes, it'll trigger an event that will basically go and do and tell people what the changes were. And in this case, we know that on this date, this person did an insert, this person did an insert and basically inserted Grantland. We know on this date and time, this person did an update and changed Asia to Fredland. We know on this date, this person did a delete and they deleted Middle East and Africa. So we're basically auditing, we're tracking the changes. So on our way on this little journey, we had one video that basically went ahead and created statement level triggers. So these are happening on every statement. Then we have row level triggers happening on every single row. And so what we get is when we do a little insert, updates and deletes, especially this last one here, which I think was, delete from stuff. What we see is we see the before statement, before row, after row, before row, after row, before row. So this is firing every single row, and this is firing at the end of the statement. So we got that. So we basically got the concept here. And for an audit trigger, we're going to be doing an after update, insert, or delete. So this idea is going to be the thing that fires off the program. What's the program? We're not just going to print anymore. We're going to basically take and use region insert DML. Region insert DML takes in 4 arguments. The first argument is going to be what kind of update it was. So it's ultimately going to be filling in this column. The second value is going to be the region ID, which is this column. And then these last 2 are going to be Asia and Fredland. So off we go. I've cleared out the region table from the last lab, and then I'm going to create myself a new sheet. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this trigger statement. I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to make a change that has been killing me the whole time. This is going to be after row. It's going to be DML, not going to be on stuff, because I want to target this regions table, which I think I created when did I create it? I thought I created it somewhere in the past here. But anyway, there's a regions table. And so I want it to be on regions. Right? And so I want it to be on regions. Now this should work if I still have a regions table out there, and I do. So I got a nice little trigger on regions. I'm not sure what's even in regions. Let's go select asterisk from regions just to see what's there. Remember, this will not fire the trigger at all. I'm just doing a straight little select. So there's a thing there. If I set my server output on, and then I go update regions set region name equal to region name, I just basically want to get a meaningless update. I just want to test my trigger out. So let's just go ahead and run this, and we're going to go. Yeah, so there's my after row triggers. That's firing off beautifully. All right, cool beans. So now we're not going to do the print statement. We're going to use this right out of that block. We went ahead, we did all this trouble testing our procedure out. We're going to go and use that. So let's put that in here. All right. And so what's going to happen now is when someone does an update on regions, it's going to basically go ahead and put this information in here. And yes, I know this information is garbage, but we'll be fixing that in a minute. So I'm going to go recompile my trigger. It compiled cleanly. And now I'm going to do my little update. And let's clear the output here. 4 rows updated. Awesome. Of course, I'm not seeing any print statements happening after that, but 4 rows were updated. That's awesome. That update doesn't mean much, but if we go and have a look at what's happening in our history table, we can kind of see that it did, in fact, put this information in here, right? Again, garbage information, but it put it in there. All right, so now let's put meaningful information here. So what can we do for 3 Asia and Fredland so that it's actually the region ID, the old name, and the new name? This gets a little weird, but I want you to appreciate that there's actually another thing that happens with row level triggers. It knows it stores in its memory an old and new value. So what you can actually see happening inside of its memory, it'll have an old region name and then a new. This is the default, by the way, a new region name. So if I change the Americas to Grantland, for example, that's actually what's sitting in memory. Basically, two records are sitting in memory. The old region ID, region name, and the new region ID, region name. In a row level trigger, it knows what its past was and what its future will be. So into here, I'm going to leave this one alone, but I can actually say the old, and that's it's an object. I'm going to call it a record because I'm old, but basically you young pups can call it an object. And the attribute is region ID. So that's what the old region ID is. This will be the old region name, and this will be the new region name. Now, don't worry, this won't compile yet because I have a problem, right? In fact, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not going to compile. So let's go. This will be a good demonstration of something else. So it blew up. It blew up with an error saying, hey, your old region ID's got to be declared. Well, here's the deal. I don't even know really how to explain it other than to say that the old record and the new record, they actually exist outside the program. And so what we need is we need a colon in front of this. Colon, where's my colon? Colon binds this record to outside the program. New is the same. Now, if you want to know more about bind variables, definitely Google it. This is totally an Oracle concept, but what I'm basically saying is that when you are in this part of the program, you're actually in the PL SQL engine. When you're out here, you're in the SQL engine, and that old and new is sitting in SQL. So you need to go colon old, colon new. This will basically bind this variable to the SQL engine outside of the PL SQL engine. All right. If that doesn't make any sense, you don't worry about it. Just put the colon in front, you'll be fine. So we go, and now it's all compiled cleanly. So now let's do this. Let's set the region name to upper region name so we can actually see it change. So we go, 4 rows updated. What's sitting in the history table now? Here's Europe, upper, America's upper, Asia upper, upper. Pretty darn cool. Let's go on here and say, I tell you what, let's delete from regions. We go, 4 rows updated. What's in the history table? History table knows that there was Europe, but now it's nothing. There was Americas, now there's nothing. Asia, nothing. That, nothing. Let's go ahead and insert, I'm going to pin this. Let's insert something into region. So there's nothing in it right now. That's my row, right? So I'm going to insert 5, and then actually I don't even know if it's going to let me do that, but let's try it anyways. 5 and then Grantland. Remember, this was an identity column, so I'm not sure it's going to work, but let's try it anyway. Let's go. And what do you think? Yeah, you can't insert into that. So I tell you what, let's just delete that. Okay, man. Well, now I'm caught in the hell of that. So let's just get out of here. Nope, I'm not interested. Now I'm going to go back and try it again. I will say that, oh, that's interesting. Regions got its data back. Anyway, whatever. If I'm going to go and do an insert, I'm going to leave that null, but I'm going to put that as Grantland. Let's see what happens. I am mildly thinking this will work. It did work. Yay. What's in the history now? Oh, yeah. That's what an insert would have looked like. All right, cool. So now let's go ahead and roll that back. So we're going to go into here, and we're going to go into here, sorry. And let's see, here, we're going to, oh, we can't roll it back. I just committed it. Okay, whatever. Grant's in there forever. Yay. So we're really close to having something cool. The only problem is I don't really want update to be the thing that shows up all the time. So I need to have a variable that knows if it's update, then the variable will be update. Otherwise, if we're inserting, the variable will be inserting. If we're deleting, the variable will be deleting. For this, we see the return of the declarer. I'll basically want a variable called DML type, or even action, tell you what. And that one is a varchar2, and I'll give it 30. And then we have a nice control structure. We go if inserting. Now that's a weird thing, but just so you know, a row level trigger is aware of the action that's going on. So if inserting, then VDML action is assigned inserting. Semicolon. Now that's great, but what if it's not inserting? Well, we also have an else-if. So else-if updating. Oh boy, DML action is assigned updating. And you know what? As I'm thinking about this now, I'm starting to lose faith, but it's late. Else, the only other choice is that it's deleting. So I'm going to go VDML action is assigned deleting. And then we end with a fabulous end if. And I tell you what, let's just line up a few things just so that it looks a little bit a titch better. All right, that 4, I'm not sure what I was thinking with the 4. Now, if you don't mind, let me just have a quick peek at my little example. Yeah, if inserting, it's deleting. Yep, that's right. All right, good deal. So now let's go ahead and, oh, so by the way, now it'd be nice if we used it. So this is a variable called DML action. So we go in here, DML action. We go. It compiled cleanly. Let's do a little update. Let's do a delete. Let's see what's sitting in the history table. So now notice we have updating and we have deleting. So that's awesome. Now the only other thing that's a little bit weird is how I want to deal with that key. This actually came up in class, but if I was to I basically, there is one possibility here where the key will end up being blank, and I don't want it to be blank, and that's when I do an insert. If I do an insert into regions, and I just specify region name, values, whatever. So I'm going to do a nice little insert. So again, that should be fine. And it's generated a row in history. But notice I got a null sitting there now, right? I mean, this is fine. This null is fine because the old row didn't exist. And this is fine because that's what my new value is. But this is not fine, right? I'd like it to actually have the key. But if I'm deleting a row, it's going to show up. If I'm updating, it's going to show up, but not if I'm inserting it. That is because I'm looking at the old region ID. And so when you're inserting, there is no old region ID. What would be cool is if it basically showed me the new region ID, unless it was null, in which case then it showed me the old region ID. That's what I think I'll do. So for this, we're going to use an Oracle function called NVL. So null value. And the null value of the old region ID is the new region ID. Now this is starting to look gross. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to start pushing things onto its own line. So I'm going to push that onto its own line. Actually, I'm going to push this onto its own line. Thank you for not helping there. And we're going to push you, push you on its own line. All right, good deal. So the null value of old. If this is old, if this is null, then let's go with the new. Oh, and that's totally not going to work because it's an underscore, not a period. All right. Phew, let's try that out. Let's go compile. It compiled. Awesome. Let's do an update. well, first of all, let's do an insert and let's make this thing more. Actually, let's make it even more grotesque. There you go. It's nice and grotesque. So there's an insert. There's an update. There's a delete. So 3 distinct events. And the triumphant look now at this table is we can see there's our inserting. So that was our old insert, but now our new insert knows that row 7 was inserted, and that's its value. The updating is it basically try to change these things to lowercase, which there's nothing there. And then deleting, here they are, and now they don't exist. All right, phew. That is actually a pretty good right there example of a nice row level audit trigger that basically takes the changes that you've done here and puts it into the historical table over here. It uses old and new. And the other thing it's doing is I'm using a variable to basically track whether it's inserting, updating, or deleting. And by the way, the word would be deleting. So there you go. All right, I think we can now put this one to bed. Thank you for your time. Awesome.